And also the lack of integration and elaboration also has the consequence that one's own identity remains unchanged. So a person, a mother losing her child, when insufficient elaboration and integration occurs, the mother continues to see herself as a mother of that child without modifying her own identity. And that in itself is responsible, or that in itself causes the symptoms that we see a lot in PTSD, traumatic distress, a sense of disbelief and confusion about one's identity. The implication of this, why are we talking about these processes? That is because it tells us something about what we should do in therapy. The implication of this is that in therapy, a key target for us therapists is to make sure that the knowledge that the separation is irreversible is integrated in the person's view of herself, himself, the world, the relationship with the deceased, or phrased differently, it is very important that the separation is really integrated into a person's life story. So that's the first of these 4 cognitive behavioral processes. Anxious avoidance is another of those 4 processes. What we see when talking to people who get stuck in their grief, that they often tend to avoid thoughts about the implications of the loss. They avoid memories. They don't want to think about what happened. Or some people avoid objects or places that are associated with the loss. They don't go to the place where the person died, or they don't want to look at photos of the lost person. They don't want to talk to other people about the deceased person or the death. Or people tend to ruminate about all kinds of alternative scenarios. And this, one key hypothesis of the cognitive behavioral approach is that all these avoidance behaviors are fueled, are influenced by all kinds of negative predictions. People with prolonged grief tend to be very afraid to confront the reality of the loss. They tend to be very afraid to really reflect on their feelings. They tend to be very afraid to really zoom in on the fact that the other person will no longer come back. They are very afraid of that because they fear the pain that is connected with that.